I used to live in a log house on 20 acres. I homeschooled my kids. I had two potbelly pigs named Sam and Edward, and I baked pies and made homemade jam. I sewed dresses for my girls. It was a far cry different than the life I live today in the city center, in a modern home. My dog goes to the groomer, every month, and it's just entirely different. So I got this home, or my husband at the time and I bought this home. We were looking for a place in the country, and particularly a log home. It was back in the late 80s, early 90s, and we really wanted just something kind of, really rustic. It was the style back then. I loved decorating, and I just got, overtaken by decor, and it was like the lodge style look, I think they called it back then. But I was so into it, and I wanted a log home on land. And so when we first got there, we went out on the balcony, and it like overlooked the acreage. Like the acreage was 20 acres, overlooked it from the balcony. And there's a creek at the back of the property. There is literally over 100 fruit trees, like everywhere. We have plum, apple, pear. There was berries. I mean, it was crazy. It was like a little fairy tale dreamland. It was on a well and a septic, so you didn't have those expenses. And it had a private driveway. So we were smitten from day one when we went out on the balcony and overlooked that land. Anyhow, we raised our 3 children there. We were there for over a decade, well over a decade. And I homeschooled my kids there. Even though we were out in a rural area, we were not entirely remote because we were only about 30 minutes away from town. And we had a homeschool group there, and the kids are still friends with the other kids that were in that group. And we went into town twice a week for the YMCA had a homeschool group. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays, they went there for their fitness and swimming lessons, and had a bunch of friends there too. So we were very active. We were not secluded, but I guess I feel like we dabbled in pioneer lifestyle. We were really into it. It was really fun. We had a big tractor, and we plowed roads and cleared the fields and did all kinds of things, built things. It was really something else. It was an entirely different lifestyle. Now, remember back then, we did not have the internet. Well, it was just coming out, but we didn't know what it was. I mean, when someone said the internet, or they put a web address on the TV, it's like, what are they talking about? We had no idea. So it was just starting. My son had a Sega Genesis play system and Sonic the Hedgehog, and that was it. I mean, that was the big stuff. And, everything was just so different. The kids played outside. We built things together. We cooked together. We sewed together. We did schoolwork. It was, wow, so different. The more I talk about it, the more I realize how crazy different it was. Well, today I just started reminiscing about it and looking back to those times and thinking, how different it is from today. Now, I had 3 children back then, and then when we moved from that place, I had 2 more. But I was in town then and moved to a condo. So those 2 children grew up drastically different than the first 3. All of them are very close, but the lifestyle that the last 2 lived does not even compare. There's just no correlation, connection, anything to what the first 3 lived. So here we are living in the town center, working a modern job. My last 2 kids went to private school and played in all the sports, and just the typical middle-class lifestyle. So where am I going with this, and what does this all mean? Why am I doing this video? Well, partially I'm doing it because like I said, I'm really just reminiscing today. In fact, all night, last night, I pulled out like old photos of that time, and just started looking back at the pictures, and that's part of what inspired me to do this video. And so anyhow, so today I'm just kind of, it's just like all there, it's up in the air, it's in my head, I'm thinking about it. I kind of want to take a Sunday drive and drive past the old place, you know. It's just this weird feeling, and I'm kind of craving, wishing, you know, I had a little place in the country now. I love the city life. I'm perfectly happy with the kind of life that I live, but there's something about that like cottage, you know, country lifestyle, and you're baking. It's a slower life, and I watch it on YouTube, sometimes channels on YouTube, and it just makes me long for it a little bit. But now that I'm older, I don't think I'd be happy there. I was in my 20s and 30s and full of energy and could take on just about anything back then. And I'm just not that way anymore. So slowing down here. So this lifestyle suits me much more. But the point of this video is that when I was living back then in the 80s and 90s, you know, I never, in my wildest dreams, never could have thought that I would be where I'm at today and raising my last two in this environment, you know, in the modern day environment. And I'm here on YouTube making videos. We didn't even have the internet, and our cell phones. Oh my God, I'm not kidding you. They were bricks. They were huge. They were big bricks. They were like the size of a shoe, our first cell phone. I mean, I thought we were cool when my husband got a pager, and he commuted pretty far. And so, you know, from work to home is a big gap. There's no phone, right? So he got a pager, and the deal was, if I sent him a message and it said 911, he had to pull over and go to a phone booth and call me. So, yeah, wild times. Never would we have ever guessed that we have all of this at our disposal, all of this AI and, you know, technology and everything. And so what a different world I lived in that part of my life. Decades, you know, and then decades here in this part of my life. So the point is, we can't predict where we'll be. You know, we can hope, and we can kind of steer our lives down a different path when we want to. But goodness, your life could be so different in another decade. And so if you're in a place that you're not happy with, or you're just feeling like you'll never be somewhere else, we just don't know, you know? We just don't know what's going to change over time. Who would have ever thought that I'd be sitting here in my EV car, you know, and I have someone who mows my lawn because I can't physically do it. And back then I was sitting on a tractor mowing my lawn, and, you know, life was just so different, and it changed, and it evolves into something else. So there's always hope if you're not where you want to be. There's always just, you know, the thought of I guess, life evolution, and that we're going to evolve into something else. That's just the inevitable, because time changes things. So you don't have to be stuck where you are. We all get stuck sometimes, but the overall picture is what I'm talking about. You may be in your 20s now and thinking, I have, you know, life sucks right now, and it kind of does, you know, in some ways. Like, it's hard to buy a house, and jobs are not paying the cost of living. And so in that regard, things are awful. But who knows where we will be in 10 to 20 years, you know? You don't know. You could be living on the moon for free. Who knows? It just changes. So that's why I wanted to do this video, because I started thinking about it, and I miss my Sam and Edward, but I started to think about it and I thought, geez, what a drastic change. And I don't think I've ever done that before. I've gone through the memories, but I don't think I've ever like compared and contrasted it to where I am today, you know, and the difference and the changes that have taken place. So hold on wherever you're at. You know, life's going to change for you, and you'll be somewhere different. You just will. That's just the way it is. You may have designed that yourself, or you may fall into it, but inevitably you'll be somewhere different. Life changes. We have different seasons, and the journey continues on. So I just wanted to share that and just, you know, remind you of that. Maybe you're struggling with it. Maybe you're not. I don't know. But I just felt like, you know, my old age wisdom needed to remind the younger folk that wherever you are today, you're going to be in a different place soon enough. And you may be looking back and cherishing the time that you're in now. So live in the moment, enjoy it, and know that you're going somewhere different. If you don't like it, steer your path in that direction. But change is coming. It always does. We go through a different season. And so I hope that inspires you. And I hope you have a glorious day. And I hope your journey is filled with excitement and good changes. And I will talk to you again soon. Thanks. Bye.